In a shocking escalation of hostilities, Russian airstrikes targeted a US-owned factory in western Ukraine, resulting in significant destruction and numerous injuries. Early Thursday morning, 2 Russian cruise missiles struck the American electronics manufacturing facility located in Mukachevo, a town in the Zakarpattia region, which borders Hungary. This attack is part of a larger offensive, as Russian forces launched one of their most extensive air assaults of the ongoing conflict, deploying over 570 drones and 40 missiles in a single night. Ukrainian President Volodymyr Zelensky took to social media to share the news of the airstrike, confirming that at least 15 individuals sustained injuries. In a post on the Telegram messaging platform, he described the factory as an ordinary civilian enterprise, an American investment, emphasizing that it produced everyday household items, including coffee machines. Zelensky expressed his dismay, stating that the Russian military executed this attack as if the global community's efforts to halt the war had no impact whatsoever. Despite ongoing international attempts to negotiate peace, Russia's overnight assault was a stark reminder of the conflict's brutality. The barrage included a mix of drones, hypersonic, ballistic, and cruise missiles aimed at both civilian and energy infrastructure across Ukraine. One missile directly hit the Flex factory, which is known for manufacturing civilian electronic components and has a global presence with over 100 offices and factories. Founded in the United States and publicly traded on NASDAQ, Flex has its headquarters in Austin, Texas, and Singapore. As of now, the company has not issued a public statement regarding the attack. Social media footage captured the scene of thick black smoke billowing from the factory in Mukachevo. Myroslav Beletsky, the head of the regional military administration, reported that approximately 600 employees were present at the time of the strike, but many had already sought shelter in secure areas after hearing air raid sirens. He noted that had they not taken these precautions, the number of casualties could have been significantly higher. Beletsky also mentioned that about 1/3 of the expansive facility was engulfed in flames following the attack. He further clarified that the factory exclusively produced household appliances and had never been involved in manufacturing military equipment, highlighting the indiscriminate nature of the attack. Andy Hunder, president of the American Chamber of Commerce in Ukraine, criticized Russia's actions, stating that the attack was a deliberate attempt to undermine U.S. businesses operating in Ukraine, particularly those that invest in and trade on American stock markets. He pointed out that this factory represented one of the largest private U.S. investments in Ukraine. Interestingly, Russia has not provided any justification for targeting this specific plant. While attacks on western Ukraine are less frequent compared to other regions, this particular strike was part of a broader offensive that saw hundreds of drones and missiles launched overnight. Ukrainian military officials reported that they successfully intercepted most of the incoming threats, but some did manage to breach their defenses, resulting in one civilian fatality in Lviv, the largest city in western Ukraine. This airstrike comes on the heels of diplomatic efforts by former President Trump, who recently met with both Zelensky in Washington and Russian President Vladimir Putin in Alaska to discuss potential peace negotiations. Trump has directed Air Force General Dan Kane, the chairman of the Joint Chiefs of Staff, to explore security guarantees for Ukraine, although any U.S. involvement is likely to be limited to air support, as Trump has expressed a clear reluctance to deploy American troops on the ground, even in a peacekeeping capacity after the conflict. General Kane has been in discussions with military leaders from various European nations, some of whom have indicated a willingness to send troops in the future, although these talks remain in the early stages as the war continues to unfold. Meanwhile, many Ukrainians are skeptical about Putin's commitment to peace, with a strong desire for robust security guarantees from the West. Some, like Alexander Mereshko, a member of the Ukrainian parliament and head of the Foreign Affairs Committee, argue that NATO membership is the only viable solution to deter further aggression from Russia, asserting that Putin fears NATO more than anything else. This sentiment is echoed by many Ukrainians, who recall that a path to NATO membership was promised back in 2008, yet little progress has been made since then. Trump's envoy, Steve Witkoff, has suggested that security guarantees could mirror NATO's Article 5, which states that an attack on one member is an attack on all. However, Ukraine has received limited security assurances in the past, which have not prevented Russia from invading twice, first in 2014 and again on a much larger scale in 2022. Russia remains firmly opposed to the presence of Western troops in Ukraine, with Foreign Minister Sergei Lavrov reiterating that Russia should have veto power over any security guarantees for Ukraine, effectively rendering such guarantees meaningless. Despite the recent surge in diplomatic discussions, neither Russia nor Ukraine appears willing to make significant concessions. Merezhko succinctly stated, "At the present moment, the interests, positions, and stances of Ukraine and Russia are diametrically opposed and they cannot be reconciled." This situation raises critical questions. How can peace be achieved when both sides are so entrenched in their positions? What role should the international community play in facilitating a resolution? We invite you to share your thoughts and opinions in the comments below.